So this is really just tactics that I'm going to talk about here. And I'm going to be sending a piece of content after the webinar in a package that has this listed. So you don't have to take aggressive notes. But really what I'm going to go through is all the different ways that you can reward for purchase in a sweepstakes promotional context. And I'll explain the kind of pros and cons to each one and why I like some and why I think some are a little trickier. So first is really, I think, my favorite and the one that works the best and the one that we've seen have the most cross appeal in the last year, and that's pin cards. Now, at first with COVID, we thought it transmitted by touch, and like I said, we were trying to track the science as promotional marketers, which is not my forte. But pin cards really are the best way to get people engaged with the program and reward them for purchase. So you have a unique alphanumeric pin that goes out with every qualifying purchase, whether that's a combo, whether that's a meal deal, however you want to design that. Then they get a pin card. And that pin card, it can be tied to store. Depending on your POS, it can be tied to an individual. There's really a lot of different ways that you can do it. And it's got a lot of advantages in that it turns your full audience into a promotional audience and makes people feel like they're getting a real immediate reward for having eaten there. And it works across platform, which is obviously very helpful. So whether it's third-party delivery or curbside pickup or in-restaurant, the 300 ways people actually engaged with restaurants last year, pin card makes it easy to have that kind of engagement. But on the downside, I'm not going to lie to you and say there's no downside to pin cards. There's obviously the operational challenge of printing them and getting it out to your locations, which a good agency will help with. But there is an operational challenge there for sure. And of course, there's extra costs to printing. So while it's the best and gets the greatest number of registrants to encourage multiple purchases, there's also challenges associated with it. Kind of a second version of that is code on something like a specialized cup or specialized packaging. It works just as well as the pin card, but the downside is it's way more expensive than getting pin cards. So it's a cool look, and if you've got money to burn, printing on the cup is fun, and it's very noticeable and memorable for your audience. But it tends to be much more expensive than a pin card. So there's kind of additional operational challenges there, and you've got to check out a bunch of supply at the end of the period if promotion ends and there's still extras. So there's some challenges there. The third one, and this really only works if you have a fairly advanced loyalty program or app or digital ordering system, is you can do direct integration with that technology. So you can reward with plays or entries or chances to win immediately when someone makes a purchase, if they are a loyalty member and do so with their card or with their account or on the app. The downside of that is a lot of people aren't going to be rewarded for it, so it really only makes sense if it's specifically a campaign designed to drive app sales or designed to drive online ordering sales, or if it's a partnership with a third-party delivery company. So those are the kind of tech integrations, and also you really got to get your tech team involved, which can be challenging and slow down times and add some complexity to the program. But if you've got, for example, a new loyalty program or a new app that people can order through, that is certainly an option and something to look at for how to reward. The next one is printing codes on receipts. So this, in a lot of ways, is as effective as pin cards. But honestly, and it's going to sound weird because it's printed right on the receipt, I find this is actually a bigger burden for crew than handing out a pin card. Because for this to be really effective, crew has to circle that code with a colored pen or a marker. And you have to have a POS system that's capable of printing unique codes by location. So there are certainly some downsides to that as well, but it's cheaper than pin cards. So there's an advantage that you could have. It just involves a bit more crew communication and understanding how they're going to interact with the program. And the last one, I always call this my last resort. It's still effective, but it's the least effective of the ones I've talked about. And that's where people upload a photo of their receipt or their meal. People will still do it, but a smaller audience. Most people don't like uploading photos. It's seen as a cumbersome or kind of onerous process for people, whereas entering a pin on this special, little card you got that makes you feel like a winner is a lot easier to get people to do. And, with file sizes and sometimes the receipt's not in the right light, it can be challenging. So it's a tactic that can be used, but I would always call it the kind of last resort. So I know that in the program we did with Kelly, they use the pin cards. So I'll throw it to her to talk about the good, bad, and ugly of that part of it, the operational stuff, and the crew and that piece.
Yeah, as Romeo mentioned, it was definitely much more of a labor-intensive task, just getting everything printed. We'll talk in a few slides about a contest we ran with the pin cards, and without the pin cards, we wouldn't have been able to run that restaurant contest. So that was great to really engage the restaurants amongst each other, the whole system. And then we had, different market contests that spurred up amongst franchisees in different districts. So that was really great to see. And then Romeo also touched on this, but really just tying in the in-restaurant guests with all of the promotion that we were doing for the sweepstakes digitally. So it really was a holistic approach to reaching all of our guests, went in all third-party orders, all the online orders. And that card was really an easy thing to just plop in a bag. It became part of something that the expediter would do, at checkout as a check of the completed order. And then the purchase that we did was combos. So any drink purchase or a combo purchase, which includes a drink, got the guest a pin card. And after the promotion, we actually saw an average check increase of 9%. And a lot of that has really led to our increase in combo sales. So it's really cool to see that work where we weren't requiring that people playing, make a purchase, but by making the purchase gave them extra entries. So it really ties in everything that we needed to.
Yeah. And it's really what you want to do is try and capture your whole audience wherever possible. So if people are dining in, you want to get them involved in the promotion. If they see the promotion online, you want to get them back into the restaurant. So a good program, I think, tries to kind of complete that wheel really for customers. But really, reward for purchase should be something that's front of mind when you're thinking about these kind of programs. Before you start looking at creative and getting excited about all the really fun parts of the program, getting the nuts and bolts of how you're going to reward for purchases is really an important piece of how the whole program is really going to work.